Hi, good morning. You're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation web TV, where you too can participate. Yes, it's all about you. I'm Ishan Russell, and how you can participate in this show? Well, it's really very simple. Just go to indiapostlive.com, that's our website. Log in and post your comments over there, or use any of the social media tools you have on your phone or your iPad or any other device that you use. You can use Twitter. Hashtag India Post Live is our hashtag, and at India Post Live is our Twitter handle. And on Facebook, we have our India Post Live page. So just log in over there, post a comment. In case you want to come and talk, you think you're an expert, of course you can come in and do that over here. You can join us via Skype or Google Hangout. Alright, now what we're talking about today is something very interesting, because this has really defined this election of 2014. The 71 seats that the BJP got in Uttar Pradesh, 71 out of 80. What does that mean for the government over there, the Samajwadi Party? What does that mean for the main opposition party in Uttar Pradesh, the Bahujan Samaj Party, the BSP? The future of the SP and BSP is what we'll be discussing today. But first, let's take you through the story.
With a saffron wave across North India in the general elections, how could Uttar Pradesh be any different? The BJP alliance swept 73 out of the 80 seats in India's most populous state. The ruling Samajwadi Party managed to win only 5 seats, that too all relatives of the ruling clan of Mulayam and Akhilesh Yadav. Akhilesh has now taken the extreme step of sacking 32 leaders who enjoy Minister of State status for non-performance. The BSP was in even worse shape. They couldn't win a single seat in this election. A livid Mayawati has disbanded the entire organization of the party. BSP will now rework its strategy after the Modi tsunami. But with a resurgent BJP, what are the odds of these regional players surviving in the days to come?
Alright, so what are their odds? You can tell us, or you can tweet out to us, you can come in via Skype. Just tell us what you think, because this conversation is all about you. But to facilitate this conversation, to understand what is really happening, we have with us Venkatesh Ramakrishnan in the studio. He's the associate editor of the Frontline magazine. Also, Ajit Pillai joins us. Ajit is, of course, a veteran journalist and has been somebody who's covered the political goings on for some time now. We're also joined by Sanjeev Singh, a consulting editor at India Post Live, and also by Sunita Aaron. She's the editor of the Hindustan Times in Lucknow, right from the heartland. So let's start with Sunita first. Sunita, the SP and the BSP in major restructuring mode, a lot of heads expected to roll. But what is the sense that you're getting over there about the two parties?
Look, these are all after result shocks, and they're going for restructuring, but what they need to do is a complete surgery now. Because the politics of UP as of now seems to be changing. Their vote banks are not intact, they're moved. So I think this is an obvious fallout when the parties who lose elections do some restructuring, they have new office bearers and all that. But having said so, this is not enough. I don't think so. SP, BSP can think of 2017 if they change the very style of functioning. For BSP, she's very autocratic. She'll have to move out of a villa, meet people. And for Mulayam Singh Yadav, he'll have to allow his son to govern the state. There can't be a remote control with his son. He can't do that.
Alright, interesting points over there. As far as Akhilesh and the freedom that he enjoys and the fact that Mayawati's perhaps lost connect with the ground, is that true to a certain extent, Venkatesh?
Absolutely. This is something which we have been talking about even during the campaign. Mayawati seems to have become a bit of a recluse. I mean, she was always a recluse, but then she's become more of a recluse in the last 3-4 years, which is not doing the BSP any good. And as far as Samajwadi Party, I entirely agree with Sunita Aaron's point that it's time that the younger generation leadership in the party, represented by Akhilesh Yadav, they get greater autonomy and they are able to do what exactly they want to do. What is happening in the Samajwadi Party is there is a mixture of the old and the new, and it's become neither here nor there.
All right, Ajit, your take on the future of the SP and the BSP.
I think,
is the BJP going to subsume them by 2017?
No, unless there is huge anti-incumbency at the center, which at this point looks unlikely. I think they'll have to really rework their strategy. And just as he was saying, the mix of the old and the new is rather peculiar. So you find Akhilesh Yadav going and buying the rights of a pop song written by Billy Joel and adapting it as the main campaign song and spending a lot of money. So, somewhere these are all very frivolous ways of getting to people, projecting yourself as representing the young, which he really hasn't. And in fact, one would like to know who prompted him to appoint those 100 so-called ministers in the beginning. Then he pared it down to 88. Now he sacked 32 of them. They are known as Lal Batti ministers. And I don't think this has happened anywhere in the country. So, the SP has that problem. And whether Mulayam, gets down to helping his son instead of interfering with his son.
Or complaining that who lies within parliament.
Yes. And also the SP has been often referred to as some government of the family, a private enterprise. And I think that impression has to go. As for Mayawati, she's really in a bind with 0 seats. And she has to work her way up. I think 2007 it was when she tried to make the party inclusive, and then she got into power and then really misused her, misused the government machinery, transferred policemen, and then lost out.
Right.
And then slowly it has been a decline and her vote share has been going downwards. So she has to recover her vote banks first before, thinking ahead. So that means it's back to the drawing board for both these parties.
Ishan, I would like to address one point that was raised in the package that you show. The package ends with the question whether these regional parties would be able to survive in the saffron onslaught. But an interesting point I want to bring up here is about the vote share of these two parties. See, in 2009, the Samajwadi Party had 23.68% of the total votes polled. You know what is the percentage they have this time?
Has it increased?
No.
22.2.
22.2. They have not dropped too much. Even Mayawati has only dropped about 2%. So what we need to see is that the biggest loser in Uttar Pradesh in terms of vote share and seat share is the Congress.
Yes, the Congress is 22 last time around, had really pushed them over the hills.
So it's not as though these parties have lost their base. And if you look at the politics of Uttar Pradesh, anybody who understands the politics of Uttar Pradesh would know that that ultimately the elections are fought on the basis of caste. It was fought on the basis of caste this time also, but there's been some drifting away of some of the core caste votes of both these parties, as reflected in the drop in the vote share. And I think that has got, India is a very strange country where, where the marginal increase of vote share, like for example, BJP nationally has a vote share increase of about 12% and seat share increase of nearly 200%.
Right.
So this needs to be kept in mind while we discussing
All right. So where are the caste? What are the caste combinations that the BJP managed to get right, and where did the SP BSP go wrong, and how do they get back to that? Sanjeev, I want to bring you in over here. Try to make us understand as far as the caste combinations, how do they work, and also the other aspect of communal polarization that we saw in Western UP that was said that could be spreading throughout UP. Do we see that sustaining and the BJP gaining because of that?
Well, at the moment, of course, the BJP is on the upswing, and really the kind of results that we've got, no one thought it would be that bad, but we knew that it was going to be bad for both parties, and they are themselves to blame for it. You look at what the Samajwadi Party government has done in the past 1.5 years. We've seen communal flare-ups happening in various parts in at least 10 to 12 districts of the state. So, really, there's no one else to blame except the Samajwadi Party. And given the impression that they are very soft on minorities, so that impression was something that the BJP used to their advantage. And then if we talk about the BSP, we saw that they changed a lot of the Lok Sabha candidates in Western UP, and we saw a lot of Muslims being given tickets in Western UP because Mayawati is very confident that her basic vote, the Dalit vote, will stay with her, and the Dalit Muslim combined will actually become one of those lethal combinations to take on the BJP. But nothing of that sort happened, and what we saw was that in both cases the Samajwadi Party being perceived as someone which is doing minority appeasement. We saw the Hindu vote move away, and similarly for the BSP, this
trying to overreach to the Muslims also cost them. So what we've seen is not just the the non-Jatav Dalit vote shifting to the BJP, but also the non-Yadav OBC vote has gone to the BJP, and that along with the upper caste has just made the BJP a very formidable force in UP.
All right, so Sunita, Sanjeev raising a very important point of the shifting of the caste, that the non-Jatav Dalit caste shifting to the BJP, the non-Yadav OBCs shifting to the BJP. Do we see this sustaining? Because there was a very sustained and a very well strategized campaign by the BJP. Now, is it advantageous to the SP also to play the politics, because they did manage to get, as Venkatesh pointed out, a substantial vote share because of this?
Before I answer that, let's do a little bit of arithmetic now.
Okay.
Now, the vote percentage of BJP went up from 15 to 42% in this election, and of SP it went down by 1%, of Congress by about 13 or 14%, and of BSP by 7%, comes to about 21%. That means every party lost their traditional votes. Simple mathematics. And the little bit you can say there was a little rise in the total votes polled. So that is it. Now, coming back to whether Jatavs will go back to Mayawati, whether Yadavs will go back to Mayawati, whatever drift was there. Look, 2014 was very different. There was an iconic figure like Modi, where everybody, all caste and communities, they saw a change, they saw some aspirations, and they thought he can bring development to UP also. So that's why there was a break in basic vote banks, and they went away. But what about 2017? BJP has a total vacuum of leadership at the state level. They don't have even one face that they can project as the chief ministerial candidate. And when it will come to that, then Mayawati, Mulayam, Akhilesh, they all are going to play a major role. Yes, Congress has a lot of problems because they've come down from 20 to 7%. So how they do it, they've been trying to rebuild their vote banks, but they have all gone away. They have a problem. But 2017, if BJP won, if Modi really performs at the center, and he's able to develop cities like Varanasi, Lucknow and Amethi, then a message will go, yes, this is a party which wants to deliver. Otherwise, people of UP have seen BJP rules in the past, and they were no good. They were as bad as BSP and SP.
All right, but Ajit, as far as the Modi idea is concerned, was that the only factor that sort of got that cutting of the major castes along with the BJP?
No, I think there was a communal card which is played. There's a casteist card, and perhaps the topping or the icing on the cake
the little cherry on top
was the development mantra. But yes, I think, the anti-incumbency at the center and the general drift of it just drifted the SP government without a rudder. And it went here and there, it did all kinds of things. It couldn't control Muzaffarnagar. It failed in various aspects. So there's a double anti-incumbency, I would say. One, because of the state rule, and also because there's a central mismanagement. And, voters definitely felt that Mulayam had some kind of influence over the Congress.
Right.
Though it was not stated very openly, but there was. So in some effect, he just failed. The government failed, and therefore Modi was able to capitalize. And also this entire thing about change, which Sunita was talking about, and the aspirational aspect. I think Modi addressed that very well. He campaigned very vigorously. Incidentally, Amit Shah thought that BSP would be number 2.
So right.
He thought the BJP would get between 50 to 55
yes.
seats. So that was the kind of calculation that the BJP itself had. Basically, what Sunita says is very right. The BJP does not have any self-confidence in its organizational machinery in UP. It has got carried away. I mean, it has been able to manage this show at this time because of the image of Modi and a variety of other factors, as Ajit was pointing out. I mean, the communal polarization that was created. So basically, I feel that BJP has a long way to go when it starts thinking of 2017, and don't write off these regional parties, because this is they're found on a social reality which has been existing for some 3,000 years. It's not going to go away just like that.
All right, I just want to read out a few tweets that have been coming in. So, the Akshay one writes in, people of UP want progress and they want to grow, which is a good sign, and that's why they gave support to youth support to Modi. And instead of doing main work, they were busy in no useful works like statues and circulating laptops. So, the tokenism perhaps being questioned, the idea hasn't been sold. But the important issue of communal polarization that happened, do we see that lasting till 2017? Because it did help the SP also to a certain extent in terms of at least regaining or retaining certain amount of their vote share.
It's a very tough question to answer actually, because UP has a big problem, especially UP. I mean, the ruling coalition, the ruling party in center has a problem because it is completely underrepresented by a huge minority population in this country, which amounts to 15% of the total population. There's not a single Muslim in the ruling party. There is hardly one or two Muslims in the entire ruling coalition, I suppose. And a state like Uttar Pradesh, which is the largest state of the country, the highest population, which sends the maximum number of members of parliament to the Lok Sabha, for the first time in the history of that state, there's not a single Muslim MP from that state. So it's a very, very, socially, it's a very foreboding kind of phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that is pregnant with very dangerous possibilities. So it's not, we won't be able to answer this question at this point of time. Only all that we can say is that it's a very, very foreboding situation.
Yes, it certainly is, isn't it, Ajit? And the fact that these fissures, I mean, it's working to the advantage of a few players and really changing the caste and the communal equations on the ground.
But yeah, you know, as he is saying, you just can't say how it is going to change and what kind of lasting impact it can have.
I think Sunita should be.
Yeah, because it is difficult to say at this point as to how, it will play out. Whether there will be consolidation of all what has happened or whether there's going to be a dissipation. But one thing I'd like to say is that both these regional players have been criticized in the media. They've said, oh, it's a knee-jerk reaction. But I think compared to the Congress, which had a no-jerk situation, I think they have done fairly well. I mean, they're at least trying to do something. At least they're attempting it.
All right, Sunita, but the question over communal polarization, and would it last till 2017? And is it a strategy that we might see both the BJP and the SP, to whom's advantage it played out to, follow that same thing?
I don't know. I think this polarization thing may have helped BJP, but the appeasement has not helped Mulayam Singh Yadav or Mayawati or Congress. The polarization doesn't happen one way, it happens both sides. But the Muslims were divided. There was no polarization like that, but it was the majority which came. I still feel that it was the Gujarat model. UP is a very backward state. People actually want roads, water, electricity, and this time they thought, yes, there is a leader who can provide us these. I think it went above communal polarization or caste, and that's why BJP got these votes. But let's see, they don't have any Gujarat model to project in 2017, because then it will be the Indian model, and everybody will be watching very closely Narendra Modi, what he does. And Mulayam is going to tone down his pro-Muslim, or what you say, because, the Kanya which was distributed went only to Muslim girls. There was a lot of reaction at the ground level which we don't get to know. If you see a Dalit Basti being developed, the Muslims reacted in 2012. And in 2014, everybody said the Kanya Vidya then is going there. There were comments like 600 crores being spent on building, constructing a boundary for graveyards. People were commenting on that. We don't have roads, and see, there is a boundary being built for a graveyard. I think Mulayam will also understand, and next election will be on his performance. It will be on the issue of development. Caste will play a subtle role. It will be there. It will remain, I think, for times to come, years to come. But that won't be the only issue.
Alright, so perhaps Mulayam has to allow Akhilesh the space to develop a UP model of development and get development on the ground. But Sanjeev, you were mentioning about the BSP and the fact that the non-Jatav Dalit vote shifted to the BJP. Do we see that sustaining? Do we see, what about the Dalit vote? The fact that it's splintering and Mayawati could be in trouble because of that?
Well, you see, I mean, right now BJP is at a peak. They've managed to, get break all sort of combinations and get them together. But as just adding to what Sunita was saying, that that impression really went on the ground that the Samajwadi Party and the Congress and BSP, all of them are hankering for the Muslim vote, and that actually led to a reaction within the majority community, and we've seen this sort of polarization happening. But the kind of reaction that SP and BSP have taken after the results have come, it will be very tough for the BJP to actually try and keep this grand alliance going. I mean, 42% vote share is not something that one can do keep. So what we're going to see is Mayawati again focus on her basic vote, the Dalit votes, try and bring back the others like the Pasis and the Dusars. So try and get them back and get that rainbow coalition of the Dalits and the lower caste together. We'll see Mulayam again reworking, trying to give a slightly soft image. I mean, it's become too pro-Muslim image for the Samajwadi Party. That has to be reworked. So he'll again try and work on that so that he can somehow strike a balance between keeping the Muslims and the chunk of the OBC vote with him. So really, it's going to be a very tough task, but the BJP, for them, the only solution that appears to be in front of them, if they have to keep this coalition together, will be a sort of, a pro-Hindutva card, or something on the lines of, some issues that will keep them slightly polarized. But 3 years is a long time. It's going to be a very uphill task for the BJP, simply because of the kind of reactions we're seeing from the SP and BSP, that they know that they have to get their act together.
Alright, but Venkatesh, Modi is somebody who understands the nuance of caste, and the Gujarat way, I mean, when he came to power in Gujarat, he reworked certain castes around in the sense of placing them, whether they were in OBC or wherever they were. Do we see that happening with Modi at the helm at the center, and therefore the politics and the caste politics of UP going under a bit of a change?
Again, it's too early to make any surmise on this. But then the fundamental factor is that BJP has made the gains it has made in Uttar Pradesh in 2014 essentially on the drive of this communal polarization, especially in Western UP, and which had its kind of reverberations in Central and Eastern UP. It's very difficult to retain this communal polarization. BJP is in a kind of dilemma. See, on the one hand, the BJP central leadership, including Modi, they have to prove now that that they are not communal as they are branded out to be. They have to they have to show to the world that they are secular, that that they reach out to all communities and castes. But on the other hand, in Uttar Pradesh, their growth depends entirely on promoting this communal polarization. So there is a big strategic and tactical dilemma that the BJP is facing. It would be interesting to see how they address it.
Alright, but can we see the change now, the focus being on development and the model of development and what the Samajwadi Party is doing actually on the ground in terms of for the people? Does the development agenda, while the communal polarization and the caste agenda are there, but does development now take over in terms of at least political rhetoric?
I think as far as UP is concerned, Samajwadi Party will try to do something. It want to prove that it's a government that works. I think the sacking of all these ministers and 2-3 other leaders is a pointer towards that, because they were always considered as excess baggage. They were seen as one of their persons in Noida, in the Noida area. He was a person who pursued that IAS officer, harassed her, Durga Shakti. And people like that were very unpopular, and now they're going to get rid of them. Obviously, I think if Mulayam allows it, Akhilesh will chart out something, because he has to prove, he has to prove that he's pro-development and he'll do something, and at the same time he has to rework the party, revive it. So they are very clear on what they ought to do, and so is the BSP. So I think development will take, will take the front seat, and there'll be far more focus at least on it.
Alright, but the knives have been out for Akhilesh, and the rumor mill said that post this election, if the SP does not do well, Akhilesh might be removed as Chief Minister. Is there a possibility of that happening, Venkatesh?
I would vote against it. In fact, I would think that something like that is not going to happen, because that would be again suicidal for the Samajwadi Party to do that. Maybe, you know, there would be some kind of counterbalancing in terms of the power structure. I mean, in any case, Akhilesh did not have much power in terms when it came to running the government. So I don't think, you know, I don't see him, in spite of all the rumors. Personally, my own feeling is that, you know, that he will not be removed.
All right, so final questions. Sunita, we'll start with you. Your final assessment as far as the SP and BSP, you think they'll bounce back as far as 2017 is concerned?
Look, 2017, they'll be there in the contest. You can't dismiss them. Mayawati will have to be very careful with her statement. Recently, she said that Muslim Brahmins were responsible for her defeat, and whereas a core voter remained with her and did not desert her. Such statements has triggered some reaction from the Muslim community, because even in 2012 she said that Muslims stitched her. I don't know if there will be some realignment of forces. Let's watch it. I think as other panelists have said, it's a little early.
All right, but it's too early, and I think we'll leave it at that, because none of you are willing to take a call on what to say. 2017 is too far away right now. So, but the reality of the SP and the BSP is something that they are really facing with right now in terms of getting the party structure right, getting the organization.
It's also important to note that, you know, that in spite of the thorough drubbing that both these parties have got, they are still there. I mean, that is something that we have to see.
At least they're taking action, unlike the
they're
last government.
They're on the ground.
The Congress who's not been taking action on the ground. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, Sunita and Sanjeev, for coming in. Thank you so much.
Venkatesh.
Hi.
All right, and Ajit and Venkatesh, thank you very much for coming into our studio. So that is our presentation on the future of the SP and the BSP. If you differ, if you agree, do write in to us, tell us what you think, tweet out to us. The whole social media network is there for you to access us from. So go ahead and do that. All right, that's it on this conversation. Thanks so much for watching.